In the workshop today, we had one of the very first generation reactive rear shocks that Trek were putting out on their bikes back in 2014. And it made me want to deliver a really quick history lesson because I found this stuff really interesting and still do. The customer has since picked up the shock, so I can't show you. We do have a modern version, but we'll save that for another time. So about a decade ago, Trek partnered up with Fox and Penske Penske Automotive in the US, to come up with a new rear shock design that would be really supportive under pedaling loads and then get out of its own way when the trail got really chunky. So it was going to be supportive and plush at the same time. Penske was having a lot of success in the automotive world with what they were calling a regressive damper design. The theory was they could produce a shock that generated a lot of damping support at low speeds and then have those forces not only taper off but actually decrease as the shaft speeds increase, hence regressive damping tune. Now at that time, if you wanted a bike to pedal efficiently, you had to have a cross-country bike. If you wanted a bike that could take big hits, you had to have a downhill bike. The modern version of what we all consider to be a very capable trail bike that can do everything was only just starting to take shape back in 2012, 13, 14. So Trek was effectively trying to miniaturize and simplify the brain shock that Specialized were doing, but iron out some of the lag and some of the harshness that came with having that little inertia valve bolted to your rear axle. In all of the graphs that they published for the media outlets, there was a lot of emphasis on the reactive shock curve actually being a curve rather than line, elbow, line like everything else on the market was. I guess to imply that the transition from supportive to plush was basically super smooth and barely noticeable rather than being on-off like a brain shock. It kind of worked. They still work. It paved the way for future development to get shocks where they are today. And I found that really interesting.